Hello, everybody. Here is the solution set for, let's see here, for our the factoring quiz that you guys took last week. So let's get it loaded and let's do it. So perform the indicated operation. The indicated operation is subtract. Just because you see parentheses doesn't mean you multiply. You got to do what's there. And this is a subtraction problem. So I take everything from the first set and I subtract everything from the second set. But when you subtract or when you add, you can only subtract and add what are called like terms. So I got 2x cubed. Is there any x cubes I can subtract? Yes, negative 1x cubed. So 2 minus negative 1 is really 2 plus 1. So it is 3. 3 what? 3x cubes. Now I can actually just ignore this and this because I've subtracted them. Now I continue. Negative 2x squared minus 1x squared. Well, negative 2 minus another 1 brings me down to 3, negative 3x squared. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So now I'm done with these two. And lastly, 3x minus negative 8x. So 3 minus negative 8 is 3 plus 8, which is 11. So this is my final answer, 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus 11x. Which of the following is a factor of this? So we have to factor, let's see here. Let's see, can I write? Well, this is I know it's multiple choice, but on my scratch work, the first two terms of my binomials have to multiply to 3x squared. So I'll do 3x and 1x. Okay, now the rest. I know that these two numbers have to multiply to negative 7, but in such a way that I get 4. Well, okay, 7 is also prime. If I put a 7 here, I'm in big trouble because 3 times 7 is 21. And that means there would be a 1 right here. So I got 27 and 1x. I can't get down to 4x. So putting a 7 is not going to work there. And if the 7 doesn't work there, then it has to go right here. It has to go right there, which makes this 1. And I need these two numbers to multiply to negative 7. So one of these is negative and one of these is positive. Well, which is which? Which is which? Let's see here. I know I need a positive 4, so I'm going to make this plus 7 and negative 1, because 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and 7 times this is positive 7, and positive 7 and negative 3 make positive 4, which is exactly what I got. So this is the factorization. 3x plus 7 times x minus 1. And looking at my choices, it's just x minus 1 is my correct answer. Everything else is not a factor. Next, number 3, perform the indicated operation, addition, plus, plus. So again, it's a combined like terms. I've got 3x to the 5th plus 2 more x to the 5th, so that's 5x to the 5th, minus 10x to the 5th. So 5x to the 5th minus 10x to the 5th brings a grand total of negative 5x to the 5th. And then I got 9 plus negative 7, so that's 2. 9 plus negative 7 is 2, plus negative 1. 2 plus negative 1 is positive 1. So this is my final answer there. Perform the indicated operation. Well, I don't see a plus or a minus between these two groups, so that means I multiply. So 2x plus 9, x minus 9. So I have to double distribute or FOIL. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 9 is negative 18x. 9 times x is 9x. 9 times negative 9 is negative 81. And then combine like terms. There's no like term for the x squared, so that's stuck there. But negative 18x and 9x make negative 9x. and then minus 81. So here's my final answer. Factor. Okay, so this one I'm going to do what's called the master product. And this will work for every time you try to factor something. This one always works, as long as it's a trinomial. So the first thing you do is you multiply the outer two numbers. 4 times 15 is 60. And then find two numbers that multiply to 60, but at the same time add to negative 23. And that's the hardest part of this whole process. Negative 20 and negative 3 are the answers, because negative 20 plus negative 3 equals, brain, negative 20 plus negative 3 is negative 23. Negative 20 times negative 3 is 60. So what do you do with those two numbers? You break up that middle term. Negative 23, you break it up into the two terms that you found, negative 20 and negative 3. You break it up. And then once you're at this stage, you factor 3 times, and then you're done. Here's the first time. What's the GCF of these two? It is 4x. And when you take out a 4x, you're left with x minus 5. That's the one time you factor. The second time, what's the GCF of these two? They both have a 3 in common, but you're going to take out a negative 3. Because then when you take out a negative 3, this will become positive 1x. This will become minus 5. And you see how these two binomials are the same. So we just factored twice. Now here's the third and last time. Both of these two groupings have x minus 5 in common. And what's left over? 4x is left over from the first chunk. Negative 3 is left over from the second chunk. And we are done. This is the correct factorization of this. And I showed my work. Factor this. I was going to do master product again, but there's a GCF. All three of these terms have a 5 in common. So if you take out that 5, you're left with x squared minus x minus 12. And there are two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 1. They are negative 4 and positive 3. And that is done. Show work. If you just show me this final answer, you're not getting any credit. Show work. So there's just a little bit of work to show. Show me that you're taking out that 5. And then I know this trinomial you should be able to factor just almost in your head. You need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 1. So I hope we're practicing. Oh, this one's a long one. Perform the indicated operation. And the operation is multiply. I got a group of 3 on the left. I got a group of 3 on the right. I don't see a plus or minus in the middle, so that means multiply. So I have to do, this is a lot of work here. I've got these 3 terms times these 3 terms. So 2x squared times this, 2x squared times that, 2x squared times that. And then I got to do x times this, x times this, x times this, and then 1 times x squared, 1 times negative 8, 1 times 2. It's a total of 9 multiplication problems. So this one's going to take a little bit. And it's 4 points, so let's get it right. 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the 4th. Because you take 2 times 1, which is 2, and x squared times x squared gives you x to the 4th. Now 2x squared times negative 8. Well, 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, and x squared times x is x to the 3rd. And then 2x squared, again, times 2. Well, that's just 4x squared. So those 3 terms are the result of just distributing 2x squared to all 3 of these. Now we do the whole process again, but we distribute x to all 3 things, and then we'll distribute 1 to all 3 things. Okay, x. X times x squared. Well, that's 1x times 1x squared. 1 times 1 is 1. And x times x squared is x to the 3rd. 1x times negative 8x is negative 8x squared. And x times 2 is 2x. Positive 1x times positive 2 is positive 2. x. And then last, distribute the 1. 1 times x squared is just x squared. 1 times negative 8x is just negative 8x. 1 times 2 is just 2. Whew. So I got 9 terms. But some of these terms are like terms that I can combine. Looking at all 9, I only see one that's x to the 4th. There's only one term that is x to the 4th. What about x to the 3rd? Negative 16x to the 3rd and 1x to the 3rd. Well, how much is all that altogether? Negative 16 and 1 make negative 15x to the 3rd. So minus 15x to the 3rd. What about x squareds? Well, I see 4x squareds right there, minus 8x squareds, plus 1x squared. So 4 minus 8 is negative 4, plus 1 is negative 3. So negative 3x squared. What about x's? I only see, I see 2. There's 2 x's here, and negative 8x is there. Well, how many x's in total? Negative 6 x's. So minus 6x. And then now for just the numbers, there's only just positive 2 lingering on. Positive 2. There are no other numbers that I can combine. So these 9 terms combined to get to these 5 terms. And this is my final answer. Factor this. Okay, so 2x to the 3rd minus 3x squared minus 18x plus 27. Here you factor by grouping. This is when you factor 3 times. You take out the GCF of the first two. These first 2 terms have an x squared in common, and you're left with 2x minus 3. These last 2 terms both have a 9 in common, but I'm going to take out negative 9, just like the previous example. And I'm left with positive 2x minus 3. Now these 2 binomials are the same. 2x minus 3 are in both groupings. And what's left over? X squared minus 9. But this x squared minus 9 is a difference of squares. Difference of squares, they pop up everywhere. That factors into x minus 3 times x plus 3. So this, my friends, this is the final answer. These 3 factors. Factor this, explain how you came to your answer. Okay, number 1, 2 numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 14 are 12 and 2, right? That's the factorization. Explain. I thought of 2 numbers that multiplied to 24 and added to 14. Those 2 numbers were 12 and 2. So the answer is x plus 12 times x plus 2. Find the sum of these polynomials. Oh man, how long is this thing? Okay, so cubes. I got a cube plus a cube. So that's 4x cubed plus negative 1x cubed. That brings it down to 3x cubed. X squareds. Negative 2x squared plus 1x squared is minus 1x squared. Ugh. Because negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. And then positive 9 plus negative 8 is positive 1. Positive 1x. Factor. Oh boy, no GCF. There's besides 1. Only the number 1 goes into all 3 of these terms. And 12 is what they call an abundant number. There are lots of things that multiply to 12. So I'm not going to try to guess and check. I'm just going to do master product. That means I'm going to take 12 times negative 10. That equals negative 120. Find 2 numbers that multiply to negative 120 and add to negative 7. I got to go to my calculator here. So 120 divided by 4 is 30. I don't think that'll work. 120 divided by 6 is 20. Nope. I need to find 2 numbers that when I subtract them, I get negative 7. 120 divided by 8 is 15. Aha! 120 divided by 8 is 15. So I'll make it negative 15 times positive 8. Negative 15 times positive 8 is negative 120. And check it out. Negative 15 plus 8 equals negative 7. So those are the two numbers. And what do I do with that? You break up the middle term. So 12x squared minus 15x plus 8x minus 10. So you took the outer two terms are the same. 12x squared and minus 10, they're the same. And that middle term got split up into negative 15 plus 8. And now you factor 3 times. What's the GCF of these first two? It's 3x, goes into both of them. And then now what's the GCF of these two? They both have a 2 in common. So if you take out a 2, you're left with 4x and negative 5. And then what do the two groupings have in common? They both have 4x minus 5 in common. And then there it is. That's the factorization. And you could quickly check your work. You should feel pretty confident. 4 times 3 is 12, and you needed 12. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and you needed negative 10. And if you multiply the outer two, you get 8x. And if you multiply the inner two, you get negative 15x. And if you add these two, you get negative 7x, which is what you needed.